Here's something that will genuinely bother you if you sit with it for a moment. For almost all of human history, knowledge didn't live in books, databases, or anything you could pull up on a screen. It lived inside people. Specific people. People who eventually died. Which sounds manageable until you realize there was no way to search them. No index, no filter. Just find the right person. Hope they're still alive. Hope they'll actually talk to you. And hope they know what you need. For 200,000 years, that was the whole system. And it was fragile in ways we genuinely struggle to imagine now. When the person died, the knowledge died. No copy, no backup, no anything. Entire civilizations lost medicines, languages, techniques, whole chunks of their own history. Not through war or disaster, just because the one person who knew a thing didn't pass it on before they went. This wasn't some catastrophic historical event worth remembering, which is kind of the whole problem, really. Say you're living 3,000 years ago and you have a question. Good start. Now find someone who knows the answer, and already you have a problem. Because most people only knew what their parents knew, and their parents mostly knew how not to starve. Knowledge didn't travel at the speed of light, it traveled at the speed of Steve, and Steve walked everywhere. Picture discovering something genuinely useful. A better way to grow crops, a plant that cures a fever, a structural technique that keeps buildings standing. The only way to share it was to carry it. Across mountains, across rivers, through the occasional war. Information wasn't downloaded, it was transported by a person, on foot, in whatever weather the world decided to throw at them. And if Steve got eaten by something on the way? Congratulations, the idea died with him. No record, no backup. There was only ever one Steve. For most of human history, writing didn't exist at all. Think about that. No books, no notes, no manuals, no step-by-step guides. Knowledge survived only if somebody remembered it, then taught it. Then that person remembered it, then taught it again. In an unbroken chain of human memory stretching back generations. Which is why entire cultures spent enormous effort turning information into stories, songs, and poems. Not for entertainment, for storage. The Iliad isn't just a story about Troy, it's a compressed data file. But memory has limits, and when it failed, when one link in that chain forgot a detail, mistranslated a phrase, skipped a step, the error propagated forward, silently, for generations. There's no way to know what we lost this way, there's no record of the things there were no records of. That's the part that should keep you up at night. Then writing arrived. Finally, external storage, the original hard drive. Except almost nobody could read it, and almost nobody could afford one. In medieval Europe, a single book cost as much as a house. A house! Not because paper was expensive, because someone had to copy it, by hand, one letter at a time, one page at a time. For months. There was a monk named Eadfrith who created the Lindisfarne Gospels in the early 8th century. He spent years producing one book. One book. He reportedly went partially blind, completing it. And when it was done, it went in a monastery, where essentially nobody read it. The most beautifully produced object of its era, years of one man's eyesight, created for an audience of roughly 12 monks who already knew what it said. And if Eadfrith had made a mistake? Congratulations! Future generations now believe the mistake. That's how knowledge spread for 1,000 years. Slowly, painfully, and expensively, and occasionally wrong. But in the 9th century, something extraordinary happened. In Baghdad, the Abbasid Caliphate built the most ambitious center of learning in human history, the House of Wisdom. Scholars traveled from across the known world to work there. They translated everything: Greek philosophy, Persian astronomy, Indian mathematics, Chinese medicine. They didn't just preserve knowledge, they synthesized it. This is where algebra was invented, where the first systematic study of optics happened, where scholars were mapping the stars with precision while Europe was still arguing about whether the Earth was round. At its peak, the House of Wisdom held over 400,000 manuscripts. 400,000. The greatest collection of human knowledge ever assembled. In 1258, the Mongols arrived. They destroyed Baghdad completely, and they threw the books into the Tigris River. All of them. Witnesses recorded that the river ran black with ink for days. 400,000 manuscripts. Centuries of accumulated human knowledge, mathematics, medicine, philosophy, astronomy, dissolved into the river. Historians estimate it set Islamic science back by 200 years. Some of that knowledge was never recovered. The greatest act of learning in human history ended with a river running black. The Mongols didn't burn the books, they drowned them. Even where books survived, there was another problem. Someone had to decide what you were allowed to read. In 1559, the Catholic Church published the Index Librorum Prohibitorum, the official list of books Catholics were forbidden to read. Galileo. Banned. Copernicus. Banned. Descartes. Banned. John Locke. Banned. Darwin. Banned. If you were caught reading a banned book, you could be excommunicated. Cut off from the church. In the medieval world, effectively cut off from society. The index was maintained, updated, and enforced for over 400 years. It was abolished in 1966. The same decade as the Beatles, color television, and the first steps toward the moon landing. For 4 centuries, the most powerful institution in the Western world kept an official list of things you were not allowed to know. Galileo's work remained on that list for 300 years. In 1992, 350 years after his death, the Vatican formally apologized. Galileo was unavailable for comment. And then, finally, something that actually helped. The printing press. Johannes Gutenberg, around 1440, built a machine that could copy books mechanically. Suddenly, information could travel faster than people. Books became cheaper. Ideas spread further. Knowledge stopped being a luxury and started becoming a right. The printing press triggered the Renaissance, the Reformation, the scientific revolution. It is arguably the most consequential invention in human history, and Gutenberg personally got almost nothing from it. He borrowed heavily to build the press. He printed the Bible. His creditor, Johann Fust, sued him. Gutenberg lost. Fust took the press, the type, and the printed Bibles. He took everything. Gutenberg died in 1468 with almost nothing. The man who made knowledge accessible to all of humanity, who broke the church's monopoly on information, who sparked the Renaissance, the Reformation, the scientific revolution, died broke, largely forgotten, and completely outmaneuvered by his own business partner. His invention changed civilization, but he didn't get to see it. He is, to this day, history's greatest argument for reading the terms and conditions. And now, you have access to more information than Gutenberg, Galileo, the House of Wisdom, and every scholar, monk, philosopher, and mathematician who ever lived, combined. Not metaphorically, literally. A random teenager with a phone and Wi-Fi has access to more verified human knowledge than Leonardo da Vinci ever did. Think about that for a second. Leonardo da Vinci, one of the most curious, intelligent, relentless learners in recorded history. You have more access than him. Before lunch, for free. And we did what any reasonable civilization would do with this unprecedented miracle. We opened 12 tabs, forgot why. Watched a video about a man who collects vintage fridges. Learned 3 facts we'll forget by Thursday. And somehow ended up shopping for things we definitely don't need at 11 p.m. The ancestors would not be impressed. A medieval scholar spent decades searching for one manuscript. Eadfrith went blind making one book that 12 monks read. The House of Wisdom held 400,000 manuscripts and got thrown into a river. And you have access to all of human knowledge. In your pocket. Right now. And you last used it to check if a celebrity was taller than you thought. But here's where it gets genuinely strange. In 1300, a dedicated scholar could, in theory, read everything that had been written. Every book, every manuscript. The total sum of human knowledge was finite. Vast, yes, but masterable. Today, more information is generated every 48 hours than was created in all of human history up to 2003. We didn't just solve knowledge scarcity, we overshot it so completely that we've created a new kind of ignorance. Not the ignorance of having nothing. The ignorance of having everything and not knowing which part matters. Researchers studying internet reading habits have found that the average person now scans rather than reads. We skim headlines. We absorb summaries. We watch 90-second explanations of things that took decades to discover. The medieval monk knew one subject with terrifying depth. You know 200 subjects at the depth of a Wikipedia introduction. Neither of you knows enough, but only one of you is aware of it. For most of human history, the problem was finding information. We solved that in about 30 years. And the new problem, the one nobody anticipated, is that there's now so much information generated so fast that no human can keep up. We went from information scarcity to information abundance so extreme, it's become its own kind of paralysis. The monks called it a blessing to have one book. We call it anxiety to have a million options. Somewhere in Baghdad, a river ran black with ink for 3 days. 400,000 manuscripts, centuries of human thought, dissolved. And somewhere right now, a teenager is closing 47 browser tabs, none of which they read past the first paragraph. The distance between those two moments is the entire history of learning. For 300,000 years, humans fought for the right to know things. They walked across continents. They copied books until they went blind. They got thrown into rivers. They were banned, burned, excommunicated, and occasionally apologized to 350 years too late. All of it to get here, where the answer to almost any question is 10 seconds away, and we still don't read the instructions. Gutenberg didn't get to see what his press became. Maybe that's for the best. Drop a comment. What do you think was the worst era? No writing at all? The banned books list? Or right now, when you have everything and can't focus on any of it? Personally, I think the river of ink is still the worst, although the 47 browser tabs are doing their best.